Thanks, Dan. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the Real Estate Flow CRM. This is a product that's near and dear to my heart because I use it every day. It keeps me focused on developing new business opportunities and ensures that I stay in regular contact with literally thousands of relationships that I have. Now, let's see how it can do the same for you. First of all, let's look up here at the menu. On the far right-hand side, we have System. If you are the designated system administrator inside of Flow, then you can add new team members and you can change or add to the lists that are used inside of the contact management system. For example, you might have a list of cities, you might have a list of lead sources, you might have different categories that we call tags. Now, tags are important because it allows us to group types of relationships. You might have downsizers, you might have upsizers, you might have electricians, plumbers, mortgage brokers, realtors, prospects, leads. This is where we get to put the words that you want to use and assign them to your relationships. And then we can create groups. We can search for groups of clients and then do things with them. One of those things that we can do is send out bulk emails. So inside of the Flow CRM, we have a feature that allows us to create a message and then select a group of clients based on a tag and send them all that same message. We have reports. Reports are useful because we can measure not only the productivity of our team members, but also the productivity of our marketing. We can measure leads that have been converted to meetings, meetings that have been converted to buyer agreements that have been converted into offers or deals, and we can measure that against the type of lead source. So if you're investing heavily into online ads or billboard ads, then we can look at the end results and compare them against the dollar value that you invested. We have call queues and activity plans. A call queue is basically just a list of contacts that I need to focus on communicating with. You might want to connect with all of your database every 6 months. So you can take a group of contacts, put them into a list, and until you've actually made contact and taken them out of the list, they'll always be there. So it might be you or one of your assistants who are continually just monitoring the list, and Flow will even automatically put that list onto your calendar each day. So you can say, listen, I want to talk to 5 people, new people every day. And when you come into your calendar, it'll show you the next 5 people you need to call. If you have an ISA department, and let's say that they need to be calling 100 people a day, then you can instruct Flow to say, okay, put 5 people on their calendar. Once they've cleared those 5, give them the next 5 right away. So it's a very, very powerful tool to keep people focused on communicating and reaching out to your client base. We have a calendar feature which allows us to track what I'm doing, not just today, but very visually, very quickly. You can see, I've missed 3 items that I had to do that day. Now we can tell Flow that at midnight, if I haven't done something the day before, just automatically put it onto my calendar. So that's a helpful feature too. And there's 2 different types of events that we use. We have timeless activities, which are things that just need to be done today. I need to talk to Mary, I need to talk to Jed, I need to send out an email, I need to go pick this up at this lawyer's office, or I can schedule events on my calendar at a very specific time. And the great thing is that will integrate directly with my phone calendar as well. So these are all very, very useful tools. We don't have to manage 2 different calendars, it's just one. And if you have an inside sales team, then as they look at your calendar, they can see where you have time available and they can put an activity on there, and that will automatically upload directly to your calendar on your phone, so everybody is in sync. And the core of Flow CRM is its contact management. It's the ability to safely store all of your relationships in one database. And then we can find people based on all different types of criteria. We can search, groups of people based on the last time I called them, when I put them in my database, who they're assigned to on my team, what their buying status is, what their selling status is. Or I can keep it really simple and I can say just search by a piece of their name, a piece of their email address, a piece of their phone number. Often you might get a message on your phone where you just have a phone number because they texted you. I don't know who that is. Well, you can just key in the last 4 here and it's going to pop up that information if it's inside your CRM. And another great feature of the Flow CRM is that it can integrate with your mail system so that even as you're sending out email from your phone, when that message goes out, it will be copied inside of Flow. And when that client sends you back information to your personal email account, it can also be redirected into Flow automatically. So you have a total and constant and comprehensive history of your entire relationships with somebody. Now, there's a lot of features involved in Flow, and we need to go through them a little slower to see exactly what they can do for you. So let's do that now. All right, let's dive into the Real Estate Flow CRM. When you log into the application, you're going to arrive at your dashboard. You can do a quick search. We can look at events on my calendar today that are scheduled with a specific time, or timeless events, which are things that need to happen today that aren't particularly scheduled. For example, I may need to call Bob, but I just need to do it today. I might have a to-do, drop documents off with the lawyers. And below here is a list of the most recent contacts that we've interacted with inside of our database. Let's look at our search feature. Now I can type in Jed, and up will come a list of any clients or contacts that have JED in them. I can also switch to advanced search, which allows me far more control over finding groups of people, finding all my buyers, all my prospects, all my leads. We can tag individual contacts or group them with these words. And these words and these drop-down lists are all controlled under system, which we'll look at in a bit. But under the advanced search, I can create lists of clients to communicate with. For example, show me all my downsizers. There's all the contacts that have been tagged as downsizers. Let's go into an actual profile and take a look at what it looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to look at a contact profile, and then we're going to see where all the information comes from and how we actually build the profile. So in this case, I've got Jed Clampett. Old Jed Clampett, I've got some notes, I've got some contact information. I can add multiple addresses. I can add multiple phone numbers. I can add multiple email addresses. I can even add secondary contacts, such as a spouse. So the top left quadrant is all contact information. The top right quadrant is the priority or status of that relationship. What's the buying status? Well, if I click here, I can set them to be a prospect, a past client, a lead, or an active. I can identify or assign them to one of my team members. I may do this for the purposes of follow-up or actioning. For example, my active clients that are outside of an active transaction right now, may be assigned to inside sales staff to follow up on. Whereas active clients, people who have active buyer agreements or listings agreements, they'll be assigned to an outside sales staff. Lead source, I can identify where this person came from. Now, we give you a complete list of possible lead sources, but you can also add on to this list. And we can tag them. You can have multiple tags. In this particular case, I've identified Jed as being a downsizer, being divorced, and a rent-to-own prospect. But all these tags, we can simply click on one of the tags. He's also a handyman. Click Add, and now that's tagged in your list. To remove a tag, I simply hover over it and click. You see that little X there? And now it's gone. I can manage multiple dates or important dates associated with this relationship. I can have birthdays, anniversaries, and I can say that this particular event happens every year and remind me one day before it happens. So if you have an anniversary date of the first purchase or the last closing, you can put that in as an important date, and it will appear on your calendar however many days that you set it ahead of the actual event happening. So just to remind, this is the top left quadrant, which is your contact information, the top right hand quadrant, which is priority and status. In the bottom left quadrant, we have all the future events that are planned for this relationship. And in the bottom right hand quadrant, we have the entire history from the moment that you added it into your database to the very last activity that occurred or was completed in that relationship. we can even attach files inside of a contact profile as well. For example, you may want to upload a picture, you may want to upload a PDF or some other document that's associated with this relationship, and you can put all of that right here. You can just click upload, it'll select from your computer, and it will add it to Real Estate Flow and will be accessible to your entire team. So, quick refresh. We have a contact profile. It's divided into 4 parts. On the left-hand side is your contact information. Top right is priority and status. Bottom left, future events. Bottom right, history. Now, if you want to add an event in the future that's going to happen, as I move my mouse over, different things appear here. I hover over it, which means I'm just going to drag my mouse on top, this little green one, and notice the little toolbar comes up and says schedule an activity. I can click on that and plug in that on July 16th, I need to phone Jed and ask who his lawyer is. And I'm going to save that. And now it's going to appear right there. Jed, ask who his lawyer is. Now, if I have an event and I need to change that, I can just click on it. I can edit, and I'm going to move that to the 25th. And it's not a phone call, it's a to-do. So it's pretty easy to edit future events. You can't edit the past, but you can edit the future. And if I need to, I can open up an event, and I can just say edit activity, and I can delete. And it's gone off that list. Now, all of these future events are scheduled on your calendar, and we're going to look at the calendar next. Calendaring begins as soon as you log into the application. Right here, we see all the events that need to be done today at a specific time, and we have timeless events, which are things that have been tasked for today that don't have a specific time, such as a to-do, an email. You may want to drop some documents off to a lawyer just sometime today. Well, that would be a timeless event. To look at our weekly and monthly schedules, we click on calendar at the top. Now we see a month view. Anything in red means these are events that are not completed. Anything in blue are events in the future that need to be completed. I can switch to a week view. I like the month view. Now let's look and see what happened on the 9th. So there's 2 events that have yet to be completed on the 9th. Well, I want to move those into today. Well, rather than, I could manually go in, edit activity, set the date, etc. Or there's a feature up here called Manage Pending Activities. And it will show me anything that's outstanding. And I'm going to look for anything up from the 1st of the month to today. So there's all my events in the past. I can simply click on this button here. Notice they're all highlighted. And I can reschedule those and move them all to next week, which is going to be the 15th. Update. Now when I look at my calendar and I look at the 15th, there's all those events have been moved. Now there is a feature inside of the Flow CRM that will allow you to automatically move events, so that if I missed 3 or 4 things today because I got caught in a meeting, then they will automatically shuffle onto tomorrow's calendar. So that's a feature you can turn on and off depending on your preference. Now let's look at how we actually manage an event. So let's go into this one. This says I'm supposed to call Jed on the 15th. Now, if to complete an activity, we look at it as there's 3 outcomes. I can send it back to the queue, which means in the context of having a list of contacts that you're supposed to be phoning and making contact with. Maybe these are leads. Maybe you've got a campaign that says every 90 days I'm going to talk to everybody in my database. If I don't make contact, it'll just go back into that list to be called again. There might be a follow-up, which is I've talked to, in this case, Jed, and I've spoken to him and I need to follow up in 3 days. An appointment is booked, which self-explanatory. It's going to end up on my calendar. or there's no business opportunity at all and it's a dud. For example, you get a list of leads, one of them doesn't turn out, it's a bad phone number, whatever that situation is. If there's absolutely no way that you're going to get any gold out of that rock, then you're going to flag it as a dud, and it won't appear on any of the lists that come up. So in this case, I'm going to say it's a my follow-up, and I'm going to say I chatted with Jed and he's interested in a cottage up in Muskoka. Call back with a couple of options. And I'm going to say complete. Now, the Flow CRM wants to know what you're going to do next. This is a best practice. Always have an activity planned for that relationship. In this case, I'm going to call Jed on the 23rd. And you can see the other options here: appointments, phones, send email, or to do. In this case, it's going to be a phone. And have 3 investment properties available. And the reason that's there is that that was the description from the last event. So I might be just taking some of that information and moving it forward. In this case, have a few cottage options available. There we go. And I say save. So now let's find old Jed and see what it looks like on his profile. Now, the last time I looked in the search, I had the advanced search, so I don't want that right now. I'm just going to do, see down here, it says switch keyword search, and we're going to look up Jed. I find old Jed, and we look down, and there's the note that I just put in, chatted with Jed, he's interested in a cottage, and we see that there's a future event scheduled for right the 23rd, have a few cottage options available. So in a nutshell, that's the essentials of the calendar. I can add an event or schedule an event, or in this case, I may have done something today. It's not going to appear on my calendar, but if I need to say or record an activity, I can just click on here. Phone call, my follow-up, Jed called, changed mind about the where, wants Gravenhurst. All right, so he just called in and he said, oh, I was talking Muskoka, but now I want Gravenhurst. No problem. And now it's going to say, it's going to ask me for that next event on my calendar. But I already had the event on there, and I just need to change it because I've already got an event scheduled. So in this case, I'm just going to go down to have a few cottage options available. I'm going to click on that option or that event, edit the activity, and I'm just going to add on to this in Gravenhurst. I'm going to change his mind. He called me. Because 2 weeks from now, when I actually make the call, I may forget, that I had this conversation. And these are just little notes that help me, prompt me for what happened the last call that we had. So in a nutshell, that's how to get things on your calendar, how to get things off your calendar, how to schedule events in the future, and over here is reviewing events that have happened in the past. And that's all there is to your calendar. Let's look at the system and security features of the Real Estate Flow. If you're a designated system administrator, then you have access to this menu item. Nobody else will. If I click on System, I can add team members under Manage Agent Accounts. By clicking on Create Agent Account, I can add a user, first name, last name, and email. And I can designate them based on their role. Are they a system administrator, which means they have God mode and everything. They have access to all the security features. And then depending on which level of seniority or supervisory role they have in your team, they'll have more and more privileges. For the most part, you'll probably designate people as inside sales or outside sales. In the beginning, as you get Flow running and your team familiar with everything, you may designate everybody just as a manager until you get to the point where you actually want to start reducing the amount of privileges that certain people have. And we need to give them a password. Once you've added the account, we need to click on Active, which means that they can log in, and we say Save. Now let's look at a completed profile. Let's look at mine. Username, or my first name, last name, my email address. I'm a system administrator, my mobile phone. here, as the administrator, I can change someone's password for them. And I've designated myself as active, so I'm going to save that. And now I can log in. What you need to do is you need to give users access to this much of the URL right there. And you can access this on your phone or on your desktop. Also under System is where we can manage our drop-down boxes. For example, I want to manage the list of cities. Now, rather than giving you a list of 2,000 cities that you need to scroll through every time you add somebody, you can go in and just add the essential cities that you work within. We can go under lead sources, and you can add to the comprehensive list that we've already provided. You might have a specific newspaper you want to measure your number of leads from, or online advertising, Google, Facebook. We can simply click on Add New, and I'm going to say Google Ads. And now, when I add a new contact, I can tell it that it is a Google ad. Finally, under System, we can modify the tags. Remember, this is how we categorize our relationships. So it'll come empty, and you can just add whatever type of descriptors that you want. I've added divorced or the downsizer. I suggest keeping track of the trades that you know inside of Flow as well, so that when you're touring a house and they say, well, we need a little paint, you can pull up a list of all your painters or your drywall people or your electricians and have all that information readily available for yourself. So these features for updating any of the drop-downs are accessible under System. So we've had a look at the Real Estate Flow CRM, and you've seen the essential features that allow you to get started and become more productive. The key, as in anything, is doing something with this information, integrating the Real Estate Flow CRM into your daily activities, making it your center for your calendaring, making it your center of communication for all of the relationships that you have, ensuring that there's always a next activity with every relationship that you have, and categorizing each relationship in context of the services that you can provide, tagging people as are they downsizers, upsizers? What's that next level of value that you're going to deliver to them? These are the key features. As always, you can contact us and we can help you on an individual basis, but get in there and explore. Find out what it can do for you. And if you have questions, ask us. That's what we're here for.